Hello and welcome to my Results Mastery live stream. My name is Steve Mills and I'd like to sincerely thank you for being here. I appreciate how busy everybody is and you've decided to allocate, it's around about a quarter of an hour to spend some time with me, hopefully learning something that you can actually use to grow your business. Now, you may know we're here today to talk about how to grow your business by an average of 45% within 12 months. Now, that's a pretty big claim to make, actually, but I can tell you that I've worked with over 10,000 businesses during the last 31 years, and that's the average that I achieve when I work with businesses. Now, I'm going to tell you how I do that, but before that, I just want to tell you a little bit about what I'm trying to do here overall. I do these live streams now 3 times a week. My commitment is all about helping smaller businesses to become more successful. It's always been that as my mission, and it still is even 30 years later. I do that through medium of a live stream, which streams live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I also got it on my podcast, my blog, and also on iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, and literally about 30 other places. So altogether, I'm tending to get somewhere around about 7, 8, 9,000 people listening to this. So it's really cool. I love the fact that we can do that with the technology that we've got and so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's talk about the subject, because that's what really matters. That's why you're here and that's what you want to learn. Before I do, just one final point that I forgot to mention. Spending time with me today is going to be a total and utter waste of your time until and unless you do something with it. Knowledge doesn't make any difference. The application of knowledge means everything. Right. So what I really want you to do is I hope you enjoy it. More than that, I hope you benefit from it. More than that, I hope you do something with it, because that's what's going to make the difference. Okay, let's make a start. So first thing I'm going to talk to you about is how to make more profit, because you know, there are a lot of people saying a lot of different things about it, but ultimately there's only 2 ways. There's only 2 ways of making more profit. Number 1 is you can reduce costs. Number 2 is you can increase sales. That's it. That's the whole ball of wax. You got to do those 2 things. Now, I'd strongly recommend that at some point, maybe now, well, not now, but after this, you sit down and think about what can you do to reduce costs, because that's always a good thing, isn't it? You know, it's easy to do often. You can save a bit of money here, a bit of money there, 5% somewhere else. And that's great, but it's also limited. It's limited by the fact that you can only save so much. And even if you didn't spend anything at all, it's still limited by your turnover. So the only way really of growing a business, and when I say a business, I'm talking about profit, not income. Income is vanity, profit is sanity. If you're turning over, if you're turning over 500,000 now, and following this you turn over 2 million, you think this is going great, but you're spending 2.5 million in costs. You know, you're losing 500,000 a year. That's not great. So you know, when I say 45% growth, I'm talking about 45% growth in profit, not turnover. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you turn over. What matters is how much profit you're going to make in your business. That's the purpose of a business, to make a profit. Even if you're a charity, you got to make a profit so you can do good and help people. That's the purpose of a charity. So you got to make a profit. Now, there are only 3 ways of making more profit. 1, you can get more customers, and that's a good thing to do. Obviously, you want to get more customers. Number 2, you can increase what's known as the average unit of sale. So that's the average amount of money each customer spends each time they buy from you. Then number 3, you increase the frequency of repurchase. In other words, you get them to buy more from you more easily, more often. Okay, so that's it. That's the whole ball of wax. They're the 3 ways of growing your business. And if you look at it from a supermarket metaphor, you've got to get more people in the supermarket, more customers. You got to get them to fill their baskets more, or fill it with more expensive products. And you've got to get them to come back and buy from you again and again and again, rather than using the other supermarkets. Now, if that's the case, then the question is, how do you do that? And we're going to talk about that to some extent. I can't cover everything, but I'm going to do my best. Firstly, I'd just like to say, which do you think is the hardest to do? Well, the answer to that is the first one. It's harder to sell to somebody who doesn't know you, don't like you because they don't know you, and they certainly don't trust you yet because you're a sleazy salesperson trying to sell them something. So getting people to know, like, and trust you becomes a real key. And selling to non-customers, people who don't know you, is the hardest, most expensive, most difficult, most time-consuming thing that you can do. So the real leverage is in selling to current people, current customers, and also past customers, and trying to sell more and more often what you actually sell. So that's a real key. So let me talk firstly about getting more customers. First thing I want to say is, how big is your database? How many people are you able to communicate a marketing message with right now? What is that number? If you're like a lot of the small businesses I see, we're talking a couple of thousand. And the problem with that often is that your market is a lot more than that. So, it might be, I don't know, I'll give you an example. Okay, so my target market is care homes throughout the UK. People who run care homes throughout the UK, that's my target market, right? How many of them are? I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm going to say there's 30,000 of them. How many of them are on your database? If you're a typical small business owner, the answer's 2,000 of them. Here's the problem. 28,000 of the potential people, most of them in effect, have never heard of you. You're not communicating with them. There's no communication there. So step 1 is we've got to grow that database. This is something I call overcoming obscurity. Step 2, then, once we've connected to them, we've connected them on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or wherever. We've got them on the email list. We got some means of communicating with them. We need to do exactly that. We need to communicate with them. Now, I am not talking about a quarterly newsletter. That is not the way of doing this, guys. We need to communicate on a regular basis. We need to keep in touch with them on a regular basis. Now, it depends what industry you're in. In my industry, I keep in touch with people once, perhaps twice a week. Okay. Now, if you're in a different industry, that might vary. But generally speaking, I'd say people don't do this enough. They don't keep in touch on a regular basis enough. So we need to do more of it. So that being the case, let's think about the next step. So we're going to keep in touch with them on a regular basis. We've got to develop our relationship. We can't just keep going, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy this? That ain't the way of doing it, is it? What the way of doing it is to educate and help and advise. So help before you ask for the money. Now, I know you may be thinking, well, I can't keep doing that. And you're right, you can't. You've got to get some money at some point, but these people are not ready for that yet. It's like me going up to, I don't know, a woman in the street going, "Hi, my name's Steve. Would you marry me?" No? Oh, all right. And I'll go and ask somebody else. Eventually, I might get somebody stupid enough to say yes. But over time, it's much better if I nurture that person, develop the relationship, maybe go on a few dates, maybe go for coffee and stuff like that before I, really get to grips with developing that relationship. And it's the same in business. Obviously, it's slightly different, but fundamentally, it's about developing that relationship. And now in business, we've got to then turn all this goodwill, all this communication into a meeting. We've got to get them to communicate with us. So it's not just me sending out emails or picking up the phone or whatever. We've got to get the communication coming back. And then when we've done that, we've got to get into a meeting. Once we've got that meeting, we've got to convert a high enough proportion of those into business. And that's how to grow a business. That's how to grow people from never heard of you down that slide. I remember listening to Jordan Belfont say, sales is a straight line. You take people from here to here in a straight line. You move them along the line, step by step by step. You don't try and go from here to here overnight. You go from here and you move them along the line, particularly in the consulting, advising, coaching, professional service industry. If I connect to a solicitor right now on LinkedIn, I don't need one. Tomorrow I might do. You with me? So it's really important to make sure that you keep in touch, build those relationships, get people to know, like, and trust you. Make sure that they're starting to communicate back to you as well. So it's not all one-way traffic. Turn that into a meeting, turn that into a sale. So if that's the way of doing that, then the second thing is, how do you get them to fill their basket with more expensive products? Well, it's about increasing the average transaction value, isn't it? So we can put prices up. We can sell them larger units of sale. We can cross-sell them to other products. So if they buy X, what goes with that is something else. They can have a little extra. We've all seen, McDonald's are the masters of this, actually, aren't they? You go in and say, "Could I have a Big Mac, please?" They go, "Yes, certainly." "Is that a Big Mac meal?" You go, "Oh, yeah, go on then. Yeah. And would you like to go large, sir?" "Yeah, go on then. Yes, I will." What have they just done? Employing a 16-year-old with no sales skills, just with a system. That's what they're supposed to do. So they've just doubled the amount of money I originally intended to spend when I first came in. Do you get that? They've doubled it. I wonder how much that makes McDonald's every year. I would submit that makes McDonald's, if not billions, certainly many, many, many millions and millions of hundreds of millions of pounds or dollars or whatever currency it's in all over the world. So if that's the case, then perhaps you ought to think about how you can do that in your business. Now, lastly, we've got to increase the frequency of repurchase, right? It's all very well having a one-shot sale. Somebody buys something from me. They perhaps I do a marketing audit, which is like a day with them working on their business. At the end of it, I produce a report telling them what I think they should do in order to grow their business. That's great. It's great. It's good money for me and they're happy. I add massive value and it's brilliant. However, that could be the end of it, couldn't it? So really what I want from there is to get them onto one of my ongoing programs, don't I? So I've got some programs that last 6 weeks. I've got others that are pretty much ongoing. People join me. My oldest client right now has been with me over 10 years. 10 years, every single month, they've paid me money. You know, I know of a lady actually who runs a business. She was a very, very highly paid person, you know, over $250,000 a year. She packed it in to develop this business, providing a service to small business owners, costing £50 a month. £50 a month for this service. I'm not going to details, but £50 a month for this service. And I said, well, you know, how do you make your money? She said, well, I've got over 1,500 members. Now, 1,500 times 50, you work that out. That's not bad, is it? I mean, times, if it was 1,000, that's 50 grand. So what's that? 75 grand a month, guys. She's only got 1,500 customers, and there's 3 million of them in the UK alone. So she's not got a massive amount. She's only got 1,500, and she's on 75 grand a month. Now, I know that's not enough to live on, but it's not a bad start, is it? I'm being sarcastic there, just in case you're wondering. But, you know, the truth of the matter is there's many ways of doing this. Many ways of getting people to come back more often. You know, I remember one particular client, sorry, not a client, one particular situation I was in. I was selling a property over in Cardiff. I had a solicitor. He was great, really liked him. His name was Richard. We were on first name terms, and he did a great job for us. And we never heard from him again. Ever. About 3 years later, we decided to move house, and couldn't find Richard. Couldn't find his details. He got one sale of about £1,000, and probably missed out on, I don't know, 10 to 15,000 pounds over the next 15 years at least, plus all the referrals that he could have got, and so on and so forth. So this is really, really powerful. And this is how I help businesses to grow. If you look on the wall behind me, I help them to look at everything that they're doing and get better at it. Once they've got it to a level where it's, you know, it's creating a return on investment. I helped a little while ago, I helped one of my clients on Facebook go from just about breaking even to getting a 12x return on investment. So every pound he spent on Facebook, he was getting £12 back. He's currently spending £30,000 a month on it, getting 12 times that back as a return on investment. And the other day he said to me, what do you think I should do now? I said, now I think you should spend 60 grand a month on it. And then let's look at some new, see the third step there, new ideas. What other ways? If that works on Facebook, would it work on LinkedIn? Would it work on Google? Would it work on YouTube? And that's where you get the real leverage to significantly, way more than 45% growth in your business. But do you know what? If you work with me, you're probably going to get an average of 45%. But wouldn't it be awful if you only did 20%? No, it wouldn't. It'd be 20% more than you say doing. And again, I'm not talking turnover, I'm talking profit. You know, how much would that be worth to you if you got 20% more profit in your business in the next 12 months? I offer this guarantee that I'll just tell you about before I go. Anybody working with me on one of my programs, I guarantee that you will make far more than you cost me within the first 3 months. So if you signed up to, I mean, my programs start at 25 quid, right? Going up to 30,000 a year, 25 quid a month or 30,000 a year. Now, if you signed up to a program that costs, say, 1,000 a month, that's 12,000 for a year. So I guarantee you'd get more than that back in the first 3 months. That's not a big deal, is it? But isn't it great to know that when you invest in something, you get your money back if it doesn't work? And that's what I do, because I believe I know my stuff. I've been around for a long time. I've proven myself again and again. I've learned from many of the top leading experts in the world. And if you want to work with me, if you want to grow your business significantly, and you're committed to doing so, I don't want to work with people who don't want to grow their business. You have to take action. You have to do what we agree that you're going to do. And I'll be there to help you every step of the way. What you need to do to start with is go to results-mastery.com. You can see it scrolling along the bottom of the screen here. Results-mastery.com. Click on one of the gold buttons and get yourself signed up. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you ever so much for listening, and speak soon.